Om. 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 Om Tat Purushaya Vidmahi Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Uvarrokameva Bandhanam Mrityor Mukshyamamritat. Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nः Prachodayat. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Good evening to a brand new awakening and a brand new atmosphere. And here we are again on our Wisdom Whispers series. And today I have a very special book called How Diablo Became Spirit. This book is actually a true story, which makes it even more special because the panther that the book is representing is truly a real panther in real life, and he still is living to this day. We can talk about that afterwards. But, it's just like a good documentary when you have the story about like a true event in life, then it just makes it so much more meaningful. And so as we learn a little bit more about Diablo, then we learn how he became spirit, and we might learn a little bit about how we can apply that to our life, how we tap into our inner child, and how we learn through these beautiful stories, these children's parables. So let us begin. How Diablo Became Spirit by Anna Breitenbach and Andrew Newman. This is from the Conscious Book Club series. I think it's called the Conscious Bedtime Story Club. So I love these because they have this beautiful practice that we can do together in the beginning of the series. So together, if you will, we will just take a moment to feel into the space beneath us, maybe rock a little bit from side to side, and lower the gaze or close the eyes and just feel into the space beneath your sit bones and your feet. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Let it out through with a sigh. And on our next inhalation, we just say, I breathe for me, and sigh. And then say, I breathe for you, and then sigh. And then I breathe for us, and sigh. I breathe for all that surrounds us. Oh, it's just such a beautiful way to begin. Hi, my name is Spirit. I'm a big black leopard and I live at the Yukani Wildlife Sanctuary in South Africa. I wasn't always known as Spirit, and I haven't always been this friendly and chatty. My first home was in a cage. I was sad and lonely there. People demanded a lot of me, and I never felt loved or seen for who I really am. Don't know if you can see that very well. I might need to adjust. Here we go. No, that's not working either. Fine. Let's do it like that. I was called Diablo because I was big and fierce. You may not know this, but the word Diablo is Spanish and it means the devil. The pictures through the camera just don't do it justice. So I highly recommend, picking up these series because the pictures are really nice and just these stories are very nice too. So after many years, I was moved from my cage to Yukani Wildlife Sanctuary by a man called Jurg. I thought it would be like my old home, so I hid in my night shelter and snarled at anyone who came close. I couldn't see the difference between Jurg and the people from my past, so I wouldn't let in the love and care that he offered me. He also called me Diablo, but I never felt like the devil inside. I was surprised one day when a woman called Anna came to my hiding place. I watched Anna slow her breathing, clear her mind, and open her heart to connect with me. Anna asked, "How do you feel about being here? Is there anything you want to tell me?" Most importantly, she asked, "What do you need to be happy?" To the outside world, it looked like a woman sitting quietly next to a big black cat. But magically, the space between us filled with my answers that Anna could understand. Sometimes she heard words, sometimes images appeared in her mind, and sometimes feelings showed up in her body. "They have me all wrong," I said. "It's my nature to be fierce because I'm a leopard. I am wise and deserving of respect and recognition as the powerful spirit that I am. The name Diablo does not fit my true nature. I want it changed." I could hardly believe it when Jurg came and spoke directly to me that same day. He had never done that before. "You're so beautiful," he said. Oh, I grunted. "I don't expect anything of you. You don't have to come out of your night shelter at all." Oh, "I won't make any demands of you. We will respect your wishes." I'm not sure if it was my heart or his heart that softened first, but things became different between us. One by one, Jurg spoke about all the problems I had shared with Anna. I was particularly worried about two special cubs who shared the neighboring cage in my old zoo. I thought of them often and wondered what happened to them. I was so comforted when Jurg told me, "Those two cubs you asked about are safe." Oh, these pick the eyes. I know, right? Oh my goodness. So there's a Zoom down here, by the way, and there's a YouTube up here. Oh, just beautiful. Then Jurg said, I do not see you as the devil. You are a magnificent black leopard. You are wise and deserve your respect and recognition. From now on, we will call you Spirit. I loved my new name from the first moment I heard it. It's exactly who I am. That day, I walked out of my hiding place into a new world of friendship and happiness. I've never been happy. Bleh. I've been happy ever since. I thought he was going to say, I've never been happier. That's my story. I hope it encourages animals to trust humans and helps humans to remember that we can all talk to each other. Much love and special leopard purrs. Aww. So first, I just want to say that when I first read this story, I just burst into tears because it's just such a special connection that I have totally felt with cats. That's why I thought for sure that I had, that I've been incarnated as a cat before in my former lives. And so when I read this book and, there were affirmations of real connections with animals, even big cats, it was like it really happened. I really did have that connection with animals. So that was really special. And what this part, see, this is another thing I love about this series that we're going over, is that the Conscious Bedtime Story Club has the beginning meditation. I breathe for me, I breathe for you, I breathe for us, I breathe for all that surrounds us. And then at the end has this reflection where you can journal about things and you can really reflect on your day or even reflect on, in this case, Spirit's secret steps on how to connect with animals. How to connect with animals. So listening is a gift, isn't it? Listening is a gift. Everybody has the ability to connect with animals. It just takes clear intention, an open heart, and a little practice. Luckily, Spirit and Anna have shared their secret steps for you to practice. So have fun. A little bit of playfulness will help. Very important. That's why we're tapping into our inner child here. It's a very important aspect. So number one, set your intention. Fill in the blank with your favorite animal. Say quietly inside, I connect heart to heart with, and pick an animal.
Eagle.
White tiger. I love that you picked eagle. I love that she picked eagle. So I don't know if you guys can comment in there, but just go ahead and think about an animal that you would pick B, that you would want to connect with. Heart to heart with connection. And then clear your mind and sigh deeply 3 times to begin. Just relax your whole body. So let's try that. Okay. Number 3, open your heart. Put your hand on your heart. Close your eyes. And breathe into your heart space until you feel warm and comfortable. Can you feel the warmth of your hand there? Imagine a golden thread of love connecting from your heart to your spirit animals. Whichever animal you picked, just imagine a golden thread of love connecting from your heart to theirs. And say hello. silently say hello. You know their name, use it. But silently say hello. I'm going to ask one question at a time. Is there anything you want to tell me? Spirit animal? Listen patiently. Listen with your heart. Wait for their answer. Do you hear any words? Do you see any pictures? Do you feel something change in your body? Don't assume. Be curious. So don't assume you know the answers. Be curious and let the animals share their truth, even if it isn't what you expected. Say thank you. When your conversation is ended, say thank you to the animal and your own heart. And then the last thing is you share what you discovered. You know, write it down, tell a friend, because that interaction was real. And you can very much have even more of those interactions. The more that you connect like that. You can even do that with plants. And I think that that's another important aspect, is that it's not just animals that you can do that with, it's any force of nature, even the planets we can connect with, because they are a force that is within us. And we can ask what it is, that material that we can work with. We can connect in that way too. So I just want to share about Anna. Anna Breitenbach, she's one of the co-writers here. She's a professional animal communicator, and she received advanced training from Assisi International Animal Institute in California. And she's been practicing and teaching across the globe for 15 years. She's also a subject of the documentary film The Animal Communicator, which has reached over 10 million views online. Anna's goal is to raise awareness and advance the relationships among human and non-human animals on both the personal and spiritual levels. She guides workshop participants to develop their natural senses and deepen their connection with all species in an honoring manner. In her communication and conservation work, she's inspired by being a voice for the animals and natural environments. You can find more information about her at www.animalspirit.org. And Jurg and Karen Olson, they are the ones who are participating at Jukani Animal Sanctuary. It says that they founded it in 2005, and their passion for big cats and determination to make a difference in a heartless industry led them to start Jukani, with 3 lions and a tiger, bought and rescued from a lion breeding farm. All of the animals they brought to Jukani were in need of a better life. The sanctuary is home to a variety of big cats, including Spirit, and other wildlife species. Jukani focuses on conservation education, especially the plight of large predators in captivity in South Africa and all over the world. And you can find out more information at www.jukani, jukani.co.za. And you can also watch a video about the incredible story of how the leopard Diablo became Spirit. So there is a YouTube video about that. Special acknowledgements, the Foster brothers and the team at senseafrica.com for their excellence in filming The Animal Communicator, which is NHU Africa, for commissioning The Animal Communicator and Jessie Rose for her ongoing support in many ways. So I just wanted to mention that. And again, you know, as far as the collection goes of these conscious bedtime story go, there are several. I only have like 4 of them, but there are several books in this series. And, you know, just to be with your children. My children are like grown now, so it's bittersweet, but at the same time, you know, I read to them. We read together. You know, I read to my youngest one. My oldest is now out of the house. He's 21. But I have a 10-and-a-half-year-old, and he still lets me read to him and lets me, you know, sing to him and hum to him and, you know, hum in melodies. And that's really special. In fact, we were just cuddling on the couch and reminiscing um, about his first 5 years of life before I jumped on here. Yeah, my children are everything to me. My first dharma in life is being a mom, and these books were a golden gateway for me to be able to um, over and over and over again read these teachings to the children that were so beneficial, to have them walk and navigate through the trials that we go through, because you know, you can apply this situation with Diablo to our own situation, right? Like bullying, for instance, and how um, by getting in a space of constantly being in threat, what ends up happening is we get stigmatized. We will automatically kind of associate or identify with what it is that these bullies are talking about. And a lot of the time then that sticks with us as this almost characteristic that that we portray through school. And now, like, it's like, I don't like that though, because this isn't who I am, but who am I? And then it's kind of this identity complex. And I think that we can relate to that a little bit. I know that I can. When I was bullied in school, and you know, people called me names that I didn't want to identify with, but you know, after some time, it's like it's hard not to. It's hard not to when it's constantly being told. So with Diablo being told that he's Diablo, right? And the way that they were treating him, he was fierce. He was fierce for a long time. So that was his way of guarding himself, was to portray this thing that was scary. And we can see that in our own lives, that we portray ourselves as something that we're not in order to intimidate, because of that fear and lack of self-esteem. But that stems from a space of not being able to express ourselves comfortably as children. So when we are able to, though, then express ourselves comfortably and be who we are unapologetically with a different perspective. It's all about point of view, right? That's what I was saying earlier, is this perspective on the way that we see and choose to see ourselves. Um, you know, instead of seeing ourselves as something that's fierce, we see ourselves as something that's divine. And then we rewrite the narrative as knowing that we are divine beings walking a human experience. You know, and Diablo may be in this fierce suit, but that does not make him any less spirit. And so that is the premise, I think, of this story, is that it's showing us that we are so much more than what the shell is portraying and what the stereotype is of humans. Unfortunately, what we have given this stereotype of this mundane mind-body awareness, right? You know, if we continue the I am ahamkara, as they call it in yoga. Ahamkara is this association with a space of ego. And the space of ego trickles into another space of manas, where now we're like in this identity of I like this, but I don't like that. This is good, but that's not good. And then that trickles further into the buddhi. And that is like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to decide on. And this is what I'm not going to decide on. But it's all identifying with what's called chittavritti, which is the fluctuations of the mind that are stemming from what's called the kleshas. And I know that this is a lot of Sanskrit and it's a lot of words, and we will go over them eventually in the podcast series. But right now, all that I want you to really take home from this, and it may be 11%, is that we all are going through a human condition, re-identifying through this dissolution, through kind of wiping away all of the conditioning that has been told to us and fed to us, these names that we associate with over time. And we are allowing ourselves to pluck away all of the weeds of the internal landscape that we are co-creating. And the more that we're co-creating, the more that we are owning co-creation in our existence as a human, as arms of God, because God is outside of experience. So we're experiencing life through this human body mind, but it's changing constant. And that will go, and it will become soil once again. And the obstacles, the kleshas, as I was saying, are part of all, it's a part of it. It's a part of it because those kleshas, those obstacles, are a part of nature. And nature is what brings us back home to true self. And that's like awareness. It's like this space. If we were to close down our eyes for a moment, just take a moment to close down your eyes if you feel comfortable. And when you do, just allow yourself to focus on the space right behind the eyes, where there may be some fuzz, there may be some shapes, there may be some darkness, but that's safe darkness. And that right there is a space of awareness from our mind's eye, from our imagination station. The more that we can be there and marry that there-ness with our breath, we are bearing witness to what is right now. And what is right now, we can be with the sounds in the air, with the space and the feeling underneath us, with the wetness on our tongue, the way that our body is feeling in space and time, the way that the air is coming through on our nostrils, and the air scent as it comes through. And just being with all of the elements and all of the senses. And I'll teach you a little bit more about those as time goes on. But that is how we can just be in awareness of this moment right here, because that's all there is. And all of the rest of the obstacles that we face, which is like what this Wisdom Whispers series is all about. We find ourselves in a space of melancholy. We find ourselves in a space of confusion. And navigating through this life can become difficult at times, especially when we feel so isolated, especially when we have so many answers that are questions rather that go unanswered, or that we're constantly seeking the answer to. And we keep going back thinking that we found the answer, but then we come back to square one because it didn't work out the way that we thought it was going to, right? So one of the teachings is this different levels of where we go with our consciousness. That consciousness is just awareness, like, okay, I'm aware that I'm sitting up straight. That's one consciousness, right? But then deeper than that, it's like, how am I walking through life? And what is happening in life? And we can become aware of the happenings of life. Like, how am I thinking about how life is happening? Am I thinking about it as life is happening to me like this and it's not fair? Why is life happening to me like this? I don't want to be living like this. I don't want to have this job or not have this job. I want to have a better XYZ fill in the blank, whatever it is. Okay. That is a victim consciousness state. That is the first level of consciousness. There's 4 levels. That's just one. And when we stay in that place, it's what Raymond Charles Barker talks about. He's a new thought leader from a long time ago, a Western new thought leader from the Science of Mind movement. And he says that we're setting ourselves up for failure if we are in a consciousness of the victim, the to me consciousness. Everything is happening to me. Why? And so we can evolve from that space. Eventually we do. And then we fall back into the consciousness. But when we can get into a space of, okay, I choose to take on volition, which is my birthright. I realize my divine birthright that I can manifest, that I am that powerful, that I have that level of consciousness where life is happening for me. Now, that is the manifested consciousness state. So, that is another level that is getting us higher to an ascension of evolution. And so then we can get into a higher level of consciousness where we are realizing that life is happening through us. Life with a capital L is happening through us. Consciousness, right? The pure, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent consciousness is happening through us right now. How is life shining through me now? How is life shining through you right now? How is the light of divinity shining through us right now, right? And how is it that all of existence, all of sentience has some sort of a vibration running through them, right? We can think about it scientifically, we can think of it esoterically, we can realize it spiritually. And then when we can really, really, truly hone into that truth with a capital T, then we can really ascend into a space of as me consciousness state, which life is happening with a capital L as me, through me as me. So that means that I am a individualized beacon for God to experience life as me. So you are an individual beacon of life where God is expressing itself through you. And you know that. You know that because of the practices, Sandra. And so if you know that, deep down, you know that inside of you, at the center of your being, there is something inside of you. There is a light. Then own that and hold on to that and hold on to that truth and practice it. But you've got to practice it. That's the thing, is that um, we have to, and what I mean by practice it is that, when we realize that, and that's what I mean by we can go back to the victim conscious state, because we go in and out of life. We're not like sannyasis. We're not in a excuse me, we're not in a space in a cave somewhere or up in the Himalayan mountains somewhere or wherever we're able to be in some sort of an ashram where we're away from all of the outside noise and we're able to be in a commune where everyone is on the same page. Instead, we've got a lot of outside noise, don't we? And because of that outside noise, that's considered the householder's life. You know, you're having to deal with the daily stuff, the mundane of it all, the regularity of life. And that can get very monotonous. And we can build not so conducive habits when we are in that place because we're not being held accountable. So it's a constant chop wood, fetch water practice. Enlightenment, repeat. Because we will constantly be going through the aha moments. And the only way that we will be able to really see the reason for our existence, we have purpose. We have such a beautiful purpose, actually. And when we own that purpose, then it's like what they say in yoga is moksha bheksha bandha. Moksha bheksha bandha means like even the desire of liberation is bondage. So even if you want to be liberated, you're still putting yourself in a space of bondage. Why? Because that's still desire, isn't it? So no matter what you do, you're constantly striving for something in this human existence. No matter what you do, you are going to be in a place of wanting. The key is to find a place of what's called vairagya. And vairagya can be looked at as detachment or non-attachment, but it can also be looked at as colorlessness. And so what it means to like be without color, right? Vai is without and raga is color. So vairagya is colorlessness, but that means like all of the senses. So they say in the Bhagavad Gita, which I will go into in the series later, all of the senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, can really drag us down into a space of constant desire where uh, we're craving for things. One of the biggest is the tongue, right? Sarasvati. And so by being in a space where we are giving over our senses to divine being within, okay? The divine beingness within. Now we're changing the whole narrative. We're changing the whole perspective of why it is that we have sensation. Why do we experience life? Why do we take in anything? Because it's an offering to divinity to experience life through us, through a totally different dimension of life, through the rocks, all the beautiful crystals and stones. They are on a different dimension, but entity and existence is still experiencing itself through that expansion of itself, through that dimension of itself, through the dimension of you, through the dimension of me, through the dimension of you, through the dimension of me. It's another expansion of itself. And it's all different, but it's all happening simultaneously in the mind of God. So that is the cosmic connection, truly. Do you have any questions?
Not right now. I think it's interesting that you were talking about as me and by me, you know, because I pop back and forth all the time from that to me to through me and by me, like by me is interesting. By me at a good level too, but I like getting to as me. I like that when I get there because that's when I drop the resistance and there's nothing there, you know, to resist, and I'm just like, okay, I'm fine. I'm
So Miss Sandra is talking about the as me consciousness state. She's talking about the different levels of consciousness, which I was going through the four levels of consciousness that we go through in and out of kind of in this human experience, where we can go from victim conscious state, which is like everything's happening to me, why, to a space of the for me conscious state, the manifested conscious state. Okay, I'm seeing that I am the causation of all of the effects in my life. So I will be in the space of manifested conscious state for me, and then another space of no, life is happening through me. I am willing, I am accepting whatever it is that God wants to have me become for God through me, conscious state, right? I am the arms of God. I am a vehicle. I am a vessel. Use me as the best instrument that you can, God, which is what I say every morning. Thank you for another day to serve. Allow me to be a better vessel today, a better instrument than I was yesterday. And then from there, God is you. God is acting as you, right? Then you are realizing that you are no longer the doer of anything. God is the charioteer. God is the one that is directing this. Who's God? The super soul, the Paramatman, right here at your heart, seat of the soul, right here, always, never, ever, ever absent. Nish prapanchaya, always at peace. Shantaya, the illuminating essence of everything. Niralambaya tejasi. Ah, yeah, so in the next couple, we are going to read for this Awakening the Inner Child series. We have two more for this series. We are going to read Pranayama and the Art of Non-Biting. Such a cute book. Such a cute book. Oh my goodness. Pranayama. Oh my gosh. So if you are familiar with Raja Yoga, which I will be doing Raja Yoga lectures on this podcast series eventually, this is a, you know, it'll be a, long time coming, long standing. So different series, different events, but there's 8 limbs of yoga. The first limb is the yama limb, and pranayama, and the art of non-biting is talking about non-harming, right? Ahimsa is the first virtue of the yama limb of yoga. So non-harming is ahimsa. And so the art of non-biting is the art of non-harming. And yama is the first limb of yoga, if you follow. So this was one of the first books that my youngest son was reading through when he was like 2 or 3. Two, he was 2, yeah. And then this is my favorite out of the series, probably one of my favorite children's parables of all time. And I think that you might be familiar with this book, The Little Soul in the Sun. I realized that on YouTube, the image is probably backwards, and I apologize for that. I don't know how to change that, but I'll try and figure out what to do about that. I know that I made it to where it's not mirrored on Zoom, so there's a Zoom down here, by the way. This is one of my absolute favorite books. Absolute favorite books. It might make me a little teary and choked up because, like, okay, all of us are still walking and navigating through this life with our inner child within us. And we are still nurturing it. We're still holding it. And now we are cradling it and being its parent, right? Or its best friend or its pal, putting our arm around its shoulder or on its shoulder and saying, you know, I've got you. I've got you. And so this is really tapping into that space of being able to sit with these books and their beautiful, profound meanings and and the simplicity of them and the colors, right? It's a picture book. Before we go into the books with no pictures, and if they're pictures, they are incredibly esoteric and very metaphysical and spiritual, you know, because we're going to be going into the Bhagavad Gita. We're going to be going into the Devi Mahatmya. We're going to be going into the Shiva Purana and the Srimad Bhagavatams. So the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's 12 different cantos. There's quite a bit in that. And there's a lot of different teachings and there's a lot of different meanings. And the whole premise of this is that there's a lot of answers in Vedic lore and Vedic teachings that we can find together through the Wisdom Whisper series. And through the Wisdom Whisper series, then we can navigate this thing called life through these answers through our own lives. So that is the thing that I was able to delineate along, like once upon a time, because I never looked at books for the longest time. I didn't like look at spiritual books ever. Like I didn't look at any books. I never read because I remember that when I did read, I was tired and I would fall asleep if I was trying to read. So I just didn't read. Then I guess when I went back to college, then I was able to find a place of concentration and focus. And audiobooks were like my friend. And I was reading a lot of books through Audible, or yeah, I was, and my teacher, my chemistry professor, was sending me different books to read. Then I started to read a lot between 2017 and 2018. That's when it really all started to kind of come flooding through. So then answers came through. But before that, it was all just life and the experiences of life that I was like asking all of these questions and not really having much answers other than the answers that I had kind of figured on my own. But then once I read the books, then I was like, oh my goodness, I was right. I was right. I'm on the right path. Thank you. It all made so much sense. And then sitting in with all of the different talks with different gurus and going to the different temples and listening to the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I think that that really has helped me be able to feel that I am confident and ready to share my knowledge and wisdom um, through my life and the experiences that I've had personally, and then being able to marry them with these incredible Vedic teachings, but not just going into Vedic teachings. I'm also going to be going into the esoteric teachings of the West. So Greek philosophy and Egyptian philosophy and Hermetic philosophy. And we'll be going into herbalism and Ayurvedic teachings will be there. So that'll be more on the East side. But we're going to be marinating and fusing the understanding, and this is where Cosmic Connections premise really is drawn from, is through my mentors' teachings, my several mentors' teachings, but particularly Sage Apapam from my alchemical herbalism course. I learned about the connection between plants, planets, and people, and how we are all one, and to really understand, to know thyself is the most important thing, because we can be a catalyst for change, for the world, for Earth and the world, both, because they're two different things. And I'd like to share that with you in a teaching along the way to really understand this aspect of the light of nature and what Earth is versus the world. And then how we can really hone into and listen with the ear behind the ear, as Michael Beckwith says, to what nature is trying to tell us, so that we can be the voice for the voiceless, as the stewards, as the way showers, as the ones that are speaking up and learning how to live in equanimity and coherence with nature, because she needs us. And the more we know, the more responsible we are. So if you want to stick around and learn some things, then I'm holding you accountable for putting your understandings into practical use by living the teachings. Because what good are the teachings without, like, what good is knowledge without application? Theory is nothing without application.
Theory. Don't want theory.
It's all just theory otherwise. It's all just, um, and you're only on the surface. The only way to truly know something or understand, as Swami Satchidananda says, to understand something, one must stand under what it is that they're trying to understand. So how do you stand under it? You experience it full-heartedly, full on. You are fully on, you are with it. And when you are fully with anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you are totally absorbed in that, you're in the zone, then that is samadhi. That in and of itself is samadhi. So you are in a space of concentration, meditation, and samadhi. That is yoga. That's union. So it's beautiful and it's attainable in everything that we do. And the more that we become aware of why it is that we're here, the purpose, then the more that we can rest easy that everything that's happening is okay. It's all happening because forces of nature and perspective. And the more that we can quiet down all of the consciousness that says, everything is happening to me, everything is happening to me, why? And we can get into more of a space of, okay, let me just surrender, as you were saying, right? I'm on my Zoom. If we could just surrender, what is it that we're surrendering to? We're surrendering to our higher self in that kingdom of heaven, which is at the seat of our existence in our hearts. And we just allow with a willingness for everything to be received in loving awareness. And we just have this lightness because, like, it's like, how can we live where we're just kind of watching our life like on a movie screen and get really interested in the way that our emotions work during different times, different interactions with different people in this mind movie of ours. And we're just like watching it. We're watching this movie and, oh, it's interesting and we can laugh about it. But if we get too involved in it, then that's where things go wrong, right? But we can just kind of be entertained by it. As they say in yoga, it's the grand lila. It's the play. It's a divine play. And so this cosmic lovemaking dance, as they say, between Shiva and Shakti, you know, um, that's just, it's atoms that are, bonding and then unbonding too. It's the same thing. It's science, it's esoteric, it's spirituality, it's everything. But it's also part of what we are because we're allowing that to happen because it can't happen without us. Literally, quite literally, like that cannot happen without us. The cosmic dance. So that's our purpose. We're allowing it to happen. And we're the ones that get to experience it. So let's make it good. Even when the things that come up happen, that's our opportunity then to say, oh, wow, there's the opposite of this too that I can experience. Which one do I want to experience? Because there's a varying degree to this. Do I want to be experiencing misery or do I want to be experiencing ecstasy? I want to go over to the ecstasy side. Yes, please. Okay, let's go do ecstasy. Not that kind, but let's do the ecstasy feeling. Gosh, I gotta watch my words. Joy, delight. When you are in a most ecstatic space, you are ecstatic, that's ecstasy. Okay. So don't get me wrong here. My gosh.
I
On
can.
YouTube, I have this as like children, it's okay for children, it's okay for kids. So apologies, children, if you are on here, I can't tell who's on when it's a live video. Um, I did not mean, just a disclaimer, I did not mean ecstasy in that way. I meant like joy, delight, ecstatic being in life and being alive. And when you can be ecstatic about being alive, then wow, it's a totally different experience. And that's all about point of view, you know? I mean, every single day that the sun comes back around the earth and says, hello, and shines its light through to everything and gives life back to everything and warms it so that we don't freeze to death, then we get a chance to shine our light through too. And I'm going to talk about this actually in the series because they're in the teachings of the Western esotericism, you know, the very first um, aspect of what was thought of as God was the sun, you know, and they also said that the sun was within everyone. In Rosicrucianism, they say that the sun is within everyone and everyone has the potential of building the sun within them. And I think that there's a truth to that, you know what I mean? Because like we're all photosynthetic beings and we're all learning how to grow our being as well as inner landscape, inner mindscape. And and so we're learning by Mother Nature how to sustain it, how to grow it right, and how to allow it to work for itself without harming itself. But we see through the work of man what's happening to her. And so we need to be able to work together in symbiosis or it doesn't work at all. And that includes what's happening inside this organism, in this ecosystem, in our guts too, right? Because of what we're eating and drinking. It's all part and parcel anyway. We've got one more minute, and I just thank you so much for sticking around. Again, two more books in this Awakening the Inner Child series. And then we're going to go into a little bit more deeper talks. So I appreciate you opening up to a different level of consciousness, which is hopefully a more playful consciousness in this part of the Wisdom Whisper series. So I will benedict us out with so much gratitude and so many blessings to everyone that are hearing the reverberations of my voice right now. As we came together this evening with the Wisdom Whisper series, in knowing that Diablo, becoming spirit, is another part and parcel expansion of us and how we are also becoming. something more than the conditioned name that we've been given. We're seeing that we too are spirit. We too are finding our way home to the capital S self. And so I simply bless everyone, and I allow my words to go into the power and action of the law, because I know that they are already done in the mind of God. And so I simply release it now and allow it to be. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityurmamritam gamaya. Om Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Hari Om, Tat Sat. Good night. See you next week for Wisdom Whispers. Let me